So, let's get ready to rumble. Huh? 2012's coming up. First off, I got to tell you all, it's just a pleasure to be here. I want to thank Dave and Lisa De Pasquale, of course, for having me introduce my friend, who you'll meet in a minute. I've only got a couple of minutes up here, but it's just great to see all of you. I was here last year, and it's just so welcoming. In Hollywood, they walk across the street when I walk across. Here, they come up and say, "How are you?" and thank you. So God bless all of you, and keep that fight up. I have a little disturbing news that I just saw over the Fox News crawl, is that Andrew Breitbart and Ann Coulter will not be here because the president has rounded up the Acorn people, and they're now en route to Guantanamo. Don't Twitter that they're not going to be here. They're going to be here. Lisa got nervous when I said that. All right? They will be here. But I just thought it was irony, you know. I mean, that's probably what they'll use Guantanamo for in military tribunals, for Ann Coulter and Andrew Breitbart. You know? Have the terrorists in New York and Americans over there. This is like, you know, here we have Dick Cheney, Mitt Romney, Scott Brown in one morning. This is like the Golden Globes of conservative politics. Huh? I was on my way here yesterday on a United flight. And I remember a year ago when I was on the way here. And, you know, you get up and you walk around and you walk in the gallery, and you meet the stewardesses or the stewards. And you have a chit-chat. And usually politics comes around. And I remember last year the absolute Chris Matthews tickle-up-the-leg feeling everybody had. And, you know, I wonder how much tickling he had when Scott Brown won. But you had this tickle-up-the-leg feeling that people were very positive and happy, and we all were. I mean, you know, you wanted to see the best for the country. On this trip back to Washington, D.C. last night, I was very pleased to see in the gallery, unanimously, stewardesses that had voted for Obama were so disenchanted that they says they have to go conservative Republican the next election. And they were very upset. These are people that travel the country, and this is the feeling I'm getting across the country. I speak to a lot of average Joes across the country, and whereby we respect the presidency, we don't have to agree what's being done. And one of the gentlemen who I've always seen at the forefront of certain issues, I remember watching Fox News, and this congressman came out and said they're putting a dung heap on the doorstep of the American taxpayer. That quote was by Thaddeus McCotter. He was one of the first conservative voices, Republican voices, against the bailout. When Sergeant Crowley had the incident, he called upon Congress to have a resolution to have President Obama apologize. And if we know, did you know that McCotter had that resolution to have him apologize? And it's how fitting that in Massachusetts, where Martha Croakley, her husband, was in the union. Her husband was in the police union, the officers' union, that then backed Scott Brown. Very interesting. The irony of certain events. And I have very interesting conversations with Thaddeus. He's a rock and roller. If you don't know him, if you haven't seen him on Red Eye or on some other newses, his intellect is absolutely crystally. It's stunning. I brought him out to Los Angeles for 300 of my fellow quietly conservative friends, and he absolutely floored them. His wit, his intelligence, his understanding of pop culture. Here's a guy that not only, you know, knows the Constitution and what America stands for, he can play the guitar behind his head. He wanted to be a rock and roller. He's like, you know, it's like finding, and I'm pleased, when my film was here a couple of years ago, The Dukes, I had mentioned in Politico magazine, the thing that I thought he was one of the bright stars of the Republican Conservative Party, and then his office reached out to me, and that's how we became friends. And he's been to my house. His family is a lovely family. I've been to Michigan, where he is in the 11th District, Michigan's 11th District, and he fights for you people there. I did 2 films there, and he is just an incredible human being. He has a pamphlet, I think, that's in the bag. I encourage you. This is prior to the Mount Vernon one and everything else, We the People, Champions of Freedom, I think it's a terrific, terrific piece to have with you. I read this and distributing. Over 50,000 copies have been put out already around the country. So without any further ado, I'd love to speak to you more, but we're on time schedules here. God bless all of you, and I want you to give a great welcome to my friend and I think one of our bright stars in politics, Congressman Thaddeus McCotter.
I want to thank Robert for that kind and turgid introduction, and I was wondering if I had any time left. It's nice how he slipped in a plug for his movie, The Dukes, which will be available on DVD and Blu-ray May 4th. It's an honor to be here with you for what has been called my inaugural speech to Cpac. It was a great moment today when I woke up, I turned on Fox News, and I heard that the conference would be kicked off by luminaries like Mitt Romney, John Boehner, and others. Which is one of the best things I've been called in quite some time. It's important that we gather today, and it's important that some things be said. Because if we don't know where we've been, if we don't know where we are, if we don't know where we're going, any road will take us there. So I'd like to touch upon the last Republican majority, the current conservative coalition and the Republican Party status, and where we as a country most importantly must go. To be succinct, the Republican majority lost its vision of the long-term challenges facing the country. Yes, in fairness, we were correct on the war for freedom against terrorism. But in the end, too many bought into the ideology that history was at an end and that the United States would face no great strategic challenges. Secondly, they bought into the ideology of creative destruction, whereby an economy could lose jobs by the score, and yet somehow magically those jobs would be replaced. And because of those two ideologies, you saw an inertia set in, and you saw a majority which once thought it was permanent try to spend its way back into office, and sadly became an ephemeral majority. For that, we owe you an apology. And more importantly, we owe you what we have been doing since January of 2009, is fighting every day to empower Americans and to principally oppose the agenda of big government that is coming out of Washington today under Democratic control. We understand there is no such thing as redemption upon demand, and we will continue to fight every day for you to once more regain your trust and your enthusiasm for returning a Republican majority to the United States Congress. And with that, I seek, in my own way, to close with the GO past. Where are we today as a movement? Where are we today as a Republican Party? We are experiencing what the left did under the last Republican majority. The left believed that with President Bush, a Republican Senate and a Republican House, that all their ideological designs for America would be thwarted. They were very anxious, they were very angry, and they engaged direct political action. And because of our own missteps, we lost those majorities. Today, for the first time in quite some time, we as conservatives, we as conservative Republicans, feel an anxiety for our future. Because until the election of Senator Brown, the Democrats had absolute control of Washington.